am delighted to be joined here today by director Nick Rowland and star and producer Taron Egerton.
Thank you so much for coming. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm going to ask a little bit about this film, obviously, to begin with. What was it about? This is based on a book. It's Jordan Harper's book. So what was it about the book that caught both your eye and made this the right choice?
I mean, it's sort of like a modern Western. You know, there's this sort of mythic quality to this story, and it's sort of like a classic Americana story. But what I loved about it was that it was from the perspective of this young girl and this a child's view on a very adult situation, let's say. So it just felt like it was a fresh version. You know?
Nick made a movie called Calm with Horses a few years ago with Barry Keoghan and Cosmo Jarvis. It's a wonderful film, and I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And I suppose I've been blessed with some incredible opportunities over my 10 years of being an actor, but I'm not always, there's not always a ton of independent cinema options for me. So when a filmmaker like Nick expresses an interest in working with me, I pay attention. And so I was excited before reading the script, and then I read the script and I thought it was cool and gritty and badass. And yeah, it didn't take much for me to say yes.
And what was it that made Taron right for this role? Because it is an American role. It's a very American kind of feeling film. So why go Welsh?
With Nate, like I felt like as a father, he had to be a young father. So when I was first reading it, I thought this needs to be someone who really isn't a father, doesn't know how to be a father, and is trying to sort of figure it out, put the track in front of the train as it's moving. And what I love about Taron is he's sort of got this, he can be brutal, but he's got this innate empathy. I don't know, like he's a very sensitive person, and you can't help but root for him. And we just went for lunch, and it was just clear that we wanted to work with each other, and he's become one of my best friends. So it's been a wonderful experience.
And obviously, I mean, Sophia, who played Polly in the film, it's an astonishing performance. You were just saying she's 10 when you made this film. Incredible. But did you have any trepidation about, you know, a film that would rely so much on finding a very young actor who could do such an incredible job?
No, I think Nick and I sat down when we first met. We had the worst chicken Caesar salad I've ever eaten in my life. And I knew that he was somebody who had great kind of rigor and care when it came to their work, and I knew that he would find someone brilliant. And we auditioned a number of young actresses. And the thing about Anna that was amazing was I'd seen her do this tape, and it's the scene in the movie where she speaks on the phone and she's calling the police on her dad, who I play, and she breaks down, and it was amazing to watch, just absolutely amazing. And when we auditioned together, I knew she was good, and we did her first read. And I was like, well, you know, God, I'm the grown-up now. I can be kind to a young actor. I can be generous with myself. And I said, Anna, that was brilliant. That was a really good read. You were great. And she went, thank you very much. So were you. And at that point, it was like, wow, this kid is going to run this movie. And it was her role from that point. Yeah.
And how did you guys build that rapport between you? Did you hang out a bit between scenes, or was it just really built in the moment on the set?
Yes. So I went and kind of would spend time with her and her mum and hang out and read scenes and just kind of have lunch and, you know, try and build a bond with her, really. And it was a real pleasure. There's something very... weirdly, the thing about being an actor is there's a danger you become completely self-obsessed, and I'm as prone to that as anybody else is, and it's so poisonous and so dangerous for making good work. And the thing about working with a young artist like that, it puts you in a position of having to be very generous to somebody and kind of make it about them as much as possible. And that sounds like altruism, but it's not. It's like it was the most freeing thing for me, because at every moment of making the film, I was able to go, oh, it's kind of not really about me. It's about Anna and it's about her experience, and that's what the movie's about.
Okay, by the way, I am going to open this to questions from the floor in a couple of minutes, so do be thinking of some, get your thinking caps on. I'll just ask a couple more to give you time to do that. But Nick, I wanted to ask you about the process of making this film, because this was shot in like January, February time, so I'm guessing it wasn't quite as hot as it is today.
No, we shot it in New Mexico, and coming from London, I thought we were going into the desert. I packed lots of shorts and t-shirts, and it turned out it was very cold, very, very cold. So there was lots of challenges, and especially the final sequence in the movie at Slabtown. We shot the first 3 days in sun, and then there was a blizzard, and hopefully no one noticed the snow continuity was pretty bad there. It's like all of a sudden there's snow in the mountains, and they weren't there before, but it's fine, yeah. No, it was tough, and there's a lot of night shoots. And also Anna, we shot it in 25 days, but because of Anna's age, we could only shoot for a certain amount of hours every day as well. So we were really always, we never had enough time. And it's a testament to Anna and Taron that we made it, really, because there was we all had to sort of muck in and dig deep.
And how did you kind of protect her, or did you have to protect her from the kind of more violent scenes in the film? Was there an element of sort of holding her back some days and shooting things without her?
Yeah, that's obviously one of the main, in pre-production, we sort of focused on how do we tell such an adult story when there's such a young actor at the center of it. So often she's, we shoot the violent stuff when she's not there, and then luckily she's got such great imagination and she's such an amazing performer that she can do the reaction without seeing any of it, But she was really amazing. I'm so excited. This is the first time we've screened the movie for anyone, so I'm so excited that people get to see her, and I'm sure this is going to be the start of a really big career for her. So,
also just wanted to ask you, Taron, about producing as well, which you've done a couple of times now. But how important is that to kind of, I guess, take control of your career a little bit and sort of make your own opportunities, perhaps?
I think there's a number of reasons you can have a credit like that on a movie or a TV show. Sometimes it can even be something as simple as being a strange kind of overhang of an old contract. So it doesn't necessarily reflect a certain amount of creative work on a project. And there have been times, I've done it a handful of times, there are times where I've not really felt it's any different from any other project that I'm an actor in. With this one, I really have felt very connected to it from the outset. As Nick alluded to, there have been a number of sacrifices to get a movie like, it's not easy to get a movie like this made these days. And I just love it. I just love the film. I love Nick. I love Anna, and actually, it was the head of film. The two of the heads of the studio were with us today to enjoy Glastonbury, and the producer credit was actually a very generous thing that they did for me, based on the journey we've had. But it's difficult to quantify quite why that is. It's I guess a reflection of the spirit of the movie, which has been us all kind of rolling our sleeves up and getting the job done against all odds, really. Yeah.
And that does feel in keeping with the movie itself. All right, do I have questions in the audience? I have the very generous Luke over here has offered to carry a mic for me.
Taron, I just wanted to say, you play such a variety of characters so well. How do you get into your characters that are dark, but they've also got a good heart? How do you get into those characters?
Do you know when someone says something and it annoys you, and you think, and maybe a disgruntled part of you has a reaction to something that feels like completely outweighs the offense, and you go, God, where did that bit of darkness in me come from? I think that's in all of us, and I think the balance of being, that's a sort of fairly pedestrian version of it. There's obviously much more extreme versions of it, but I think there is a kind of nastiness in all of us, and the challenge of being a good person, I think, is trying to figure that out and not let it run the show. But what I really loved about this character is he's somebody who's clearly lived a bit of a life. He's clearly pretty damaged, but he is trying to do one last good thing. And The thing that I loved about the script is the one moment where you really see the man from the past is where he goes and he holds up the gas station, and there's an innocent woman in there, and he really terrorizes her, and it's really horrible, and you just get this glimpse into the guy he was before. To be honest, I suppose that I sometimes feel that I'm an overly agreeable person. Maybe I can be a bit affable to a fault, and I don't really recognize myself in that. And when you play someone which gives you a little outlet to be, a bit of a dick at times, that's fun. And I don't know what the preparation involved with that is. It doesn't matter what the role is and how different it is from yourself. You're always expressing a part of yourself. It's like, when actors say, God, I was so in character, I found it hard to come back. I just don't quite subscribe to that idea. I think it's always a version of you through a different prism,
Any more questions? Okay, we've got one down here and then we'll come to you. So Luke, black lady first, and then we'll come to you.
Hello, hi both. This is actually a question for Nick. What is the appeal for you in working on an adaptation as opposed to an original screenplay? Because it comes up with a whole host of extra challenges, appeasing its original audience, but still wanting to put your own creative slant on it. And what's the appeal for you to give yourself that sort of extra work?
That is a great question. So the first film I did was an adaptation of a novella. So it was like a 70-page short story, and that kind of felt perfect because you have the skeleton and then you're adding the muscles and the sinew to it. Adapting a novel is obviously more different because you have to condense and you have to find a narrative language that fits cinema. So I don't know if you've read the original novel, but it's more episodic and it spans a much longer period of time. So making the choice to make it immediate and make it over a few days gives us the sort of skeleton that we need. And then it's about, you hope to retain the truth of the characters and the sort of the themes, but it is going to be different. It's a different medium. The two things can't be a marriage like that. The appeal is that when you read an original, like a novel or a short story or maybe it's a true story, an article, anything, if it moves you, you know that there's something there. And it gives you a North Star to follow. You think, how did I feel when I first heard the story? What were the things that spoke to me? What were the things that connected with me? And I feel like my job is purely to communicate how I felt when I first read it. So that's sort of the process for me. Yeah.
Taron, Shwmai, Prynhawn Da. Good to see you. You're from the fine country of Wales, of course, which is a great history of Welsh actors, Hopkins, Burton, Sheen, Zeta-Jones. To what extent, being from Wales, do you think has had an impact in your career? And were those people that you looked up to in terms of your acting credentials and your wonderful ambition?
Yes, thank you. Nice well to you. Yeah, absolutely. At the start of this year, I was getting ready to go to Australia to make a movie with a filmmaker named Baltasar Kormakur for Netflix and Charlize Theron. And I can't tell you what it is about the part I play that led me to do this, but I asked Anthony Hopkins for some advice about playing the role. I know, guys. We're on text, and it is a really it's the absolute one of the absolute best things about being I suppose a successful screen actor is that you get to meet the people that you are the reason you're doing it. There are drawbacks. There are drawbacks to everything, aren't there? It's like regardless of what you do, there are good things and there are shit things. And I love being an actor, but there are things about it that I don't like. But one of the things that I absolutely adore is it sometimes gives you a little way of saying hello to someone you love. And I was at a hotel a year or two ago, and I saw him. I saw Anthony Hopkins having breakfast. And I thought, no way, fuck this, man, I'm doing it. And I went over and said hello, and the beautiful thing was he had no clue who I was. but he still asked me to sit down for a cup of tea. He said, come on, just sit down, have a cup of tea. I said, oh, hi, I'm Taron, I'm an actor, I'm an absolutely huge admirer of your work. And we swapped numbers, and he was very sweet and totally, nothing, no interest in kind of status or like whether I was, I was a young actor, and he was very friendly. And in fact, my mum and my stepdad and my two sisters were over visiting from Wales. We were in Los Angeles. They were by the pool, and I told Sir Anthony that, and he walked through the hotel. He's about 87. He walked through the hotel, all the way around to the pool, walked around the pool and approached my stepfather, who is from Aberystwyth proper, and to Anthony Hopkins, a hero. I've never seen a look on his face like that before. Anthony Hopkins walking around the pool, everyone's in their bikinis. Anthony Hopkins, leather jacket, looking like $1 million, looking like an absolute gangster. And he bowls around, he goes, hi guy, I've heard you're a fan, I'm Tony. And it was like a real moment. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on, but he texted me a week later. He was like, Taron, I know who you are. I've seen Rocket Man. I watched Blackbird recently. Oh, you're very good indeed. And it's an amazing, wonderful fact of my life that sometimes I'm able to do that. And I'm a fan, I'm a fan as much as I am someone who now works in the industry. But thank you for your lovely question. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Fellow Welshman. Cheers, mate.
That's you.
I just want to ask you both, what's next and when is this film out? When are people going to be able to see it here in this country?
The film comes out 1st of August in America and November in the UK. And please tell everyone to go see it. And I also just want to say thank you so much to Chris Slager, who's stood at the edge of the stage here, because the film wouldn't have been made without his support and determination. So thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Have you started working on your next project yet, or is it really unfair to ask you that when this isn't even
We're
out
going to
yet?
make another movie together, yeah. It's hopefully Q1, so. It means so much to us that you came to see the movie, especially when it's sweltering. I'm dripping with sweat, but thank you so much. It really means so much to us, so thank you. And enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you.